Good morning. It is a good morning. Oh, okay, it's Tuesday, September the 3rd, the day after Labor Day. So I wasn't on yesterday because it was a holiday, and so we had a 3-day weekend, and I was just all over everywhere doing everything. So this is Travel Chat, and I am coming to you with my personal development talk through. I use my commute, which is like an hour one way, to listen to personal development books, and usually around this time I'm kind of turning them off and just kind of like thinking about how it applies to my life and what it all means and what am I doing with my life. And so a couple months ago I used to actually make audio recordings of myself going through the process because I was afraid to be on video, and come a long way, baby. And that was like last year, because I was like, I'm going to take these audio recordings and I'm going to transcribe them into a blog, and I'm going to write, like sit down and type. But the way my life is set up, honey, sitting down and typing and transcribing something that I've spoken into my phone, months and months ago, was not the business. And the other thing was, as I would listen back to what I had recorded, I had grown so much in the interim that it felt ridiculous to even type that up, because I'm like, I'm so far past this now. And that's when I realized the value in talking it out, and the value in actually doing the work was that I was growing, and I could see, it was like I was documenting my growth. So I just started making video. And is that how it started? I started just talking it out without recording it, because I was like, I'm not gonna even transcribe it, so why record it? And then I just started making video, and I just started making lives on Instagram with the pretty filter, and then I just started making lives on Facebook, and saving them and uploading them to YouTube. So that's where I am now, and it's been amazing. So I'm going to keep it going because it helps me, and I've heard a lot of feedback from you guys who are watching that it helps you too, that you're taking some of the things that I'm applying in my life and applying it to your life. Some of the book recommendations and some of the YouTube videos, the gurus, and the podcasts are all being considered seriously by you guys, because I'm getting such good results from them. So that's awesome. That's an awesome side effect. So today is just the same. This weekend was great. A lot of stuff happened. I even had not a coaching call. We had a mastermind call on Sunday. I'm in a group with 2 other ladies, now 3, because we added someone, for a mastermind, and we just talk through similar things like now. We give each other support and feedback. It's really great. I'm looking to start another epic mastermind. I would say group, but it's just 2 of us, with Diane, who watches every day. She usually watches live. She lives in Colorado. Diane is amazing, and she is sitting on a gold mine. Her life is, I see it and I'm just like, oh my gosh, there's so many diamonds in your mind. And I can't wait to just be in a group with her, because if you guys don't know what a mastermind group is, it's something that came from Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich. But Jim Rohn also talks about it, I believe. Anyway, a mastermind group the concept is that when 2 people come together and agree on a common goal, that a third mind, and we all know if you go to church, that third mind, it's like the Holy Spirit, will come in and make you more productive, more smart, more incredible than either of the 2 people would have been alone. So it's like you have one brilliant person, another brilliant person, you put them together, and it's like you have 7 brilliant people. Like, that's how masterminds work. And so the incredible thing is, all you need is two people. When those two people come together in this harmony and they start to really discuss things and work through things, it's not even super serious. It just becomes so much bigger than they could have done by themselves. So that's why I'm looking forward to being in a mastermind group with Diane. She asked me like a month ago or something like that, and I hadn't done it before, and I wasn't quite sure how it would work. And so I was like, no, I'm kind of busy, I don't know, I'll talk to you anytime, because we talk all the time. And I'm like, I'll talk anytime, but I don't know about committing to something. I was afraid to committing to something, and now I'm like, I'm ready. You know, it's funny how a seed has to be planted, and then you kind of sit on it, and then when it's time, and you know it's time, you can't deny it, and you're just like, I don't care when we have to do this. If I have to do it on my lunch break, we can do it, you know. And I'm so excited about it, because I think it's going to be awesome for both of us. And so that's what's going on, and hopefully we can meet like twice a month or more. They're really good when you can meet like once a week or something like that, but a lot of times you have busy people, you can't do that. So we're going to get that going. And so today's topic ties directly into this, because I've been thinking about this. Living your life on repeat. Living your life on repeat. OMG. Okay, so this is what's happened again. You guys know I always talk about Michelle Rohr. She is amazing. She is the reason, I can say this, she is the reason that my life is completely different this year than it was last year. She's the reason why my life in 2019 is 10 times better, if not more, than 2018. And I'm going to somehow, oh, I know, when this is on YouTube, I have a link to her in my YouTube description box. Okay, so that's where it is. But I'll put a link on Facebook too. Because Michelle, all of her products, her philosophy, SOS Club, all of this is like life-changing to me and to a lot of other ladies too. But over the weekend, I was listening to a podcast interview with her. Again, actually two. I listened to the Etsy Conversations podcast, which is the exact podcast that where I first heard about her and ended up looking her up. And I listened to the most recent one with my friend Chisomo. She just started a podcast and she interviewed Michelle also. And so in each one, she's telling her story. You know, like, her story is incredible, and it's just real. It brings out so much from my own experience that it's so incredibly relatable that a lot of people have started to follow her because that story is so relatable. And so now she's a guru. I'm not even afraid to say she's a guru. I think she's like 30 years old, but what she's accomplished in this short amount of time has given her, in my mind, guru status. Like, when I think about people who have helped me, I think about Lisa Nichols, I think about Michelle, I think about Jim Rohn, who's passed away, I think about Abraham Hicks. I mean, you know, it's like she's on that caliber, on that level of people who can create a breakthrough. And, you know, I wish that she had like that status, because more people, and it'll happen eventually, I'm not even going to worry about it, more people need to know about how she keeps things simple and how she makes life easier but more productive. So her story goes like this. Her family had a family business, and she was working in this coffee shop, and they had like coffee, and she also made paninis. Hey Diane, I've just been talking about you for like 10 minutes, girl, so you're gonna have to watch the replay all about Diane because I'm excited about our mastermind. So she's working in this coffee shop, and, you know, she's making paninis and this kind of thing. It's a family business, but she says that she came to a point where she's standing there and she's like, you know, washing the dishes or whatever it is that she's doing, or making bread. She was making bread, and she realized that it was that same time last year when she was standing there making bread, thinking about the same thoughts and the same wishes and the same hopes that she had. And she was like, this is last year. I haven't moved anything forward. I'm doing the exact same thing I was doing last year. I've had a mediocre year. I'm borderline depressed. I mean, you know how that whole feeling is where you're just like, you know, usually it happens when it's like your birthday, right? So your birthday comes around and you're like, what the hell have I done this year? That was me anyway. Like, it'd be like year after year, I'm just like, okay, happy birthday to me. What have I done? Nothing. You know, I still have the same wishes. I still think that someday the same thing is going to happen, you know, someday. And if that's, you know, in the past, that's just been it. I've just been like, okay, well, this is life. This is what it means to be adulting, right? Like, this is it. This is life. You know, you have hopes and dreams, and then you grow up and you have to pay bills and you have to do this, and nothing's going to change for you. So just suck it up, buttercup. But what she did was totally different. So she decided that she wasn't going to tolerate having the same mediocre year for another year. And she started to take herself to a different coffee shop every Saturday evening and started working on personal development. She would use some homemade printable sheets that she made and just kind of organize her life, her health, her travel goals, just all these different aspects of life that we all have. And she put them all together. She ended up having like all these printable sheets with all these different categories. She put them all together in like a normal 3-ring school binder. She would take it with her, and she was working on it, and she started to grow and things started to change. So she started asking other people if they wanted to join in too in this little coffee shop thing. Not her same coffee shop, but like a totally different coffee shop that she didn't work at. And just, hey, you guys want to get together and do this? And other people want to get together and do it too. And so she had other people join her, and then she turned it into a workshop, and she had tons of people coming, and they would be coloring and talking and doing these things like that and setting goals. And it was just magical. So now she's doing that for all of us, and we are all over the world. We're all over the world, and we just love the concept, and we're growing. So if anybody's wondering what the difference in me is from maybe you knew me in high school, maybe you knew me in college or in medical school, or you knew me last year, you knew me from work, and you're like, what is different? Like, you are all face forward on the internet, live, you know, making stuff and telling people to buy your thing. You know what I mean? Like, who is this person, right? And I was shy and mousy because I didn't have confidence. I wasn't shy. Like, I am not shy. I will tell you in a minute, I am not shy, but I was shy because I didn't have confidence, and I didn't have self-awareness. Like, I didn't know how super freaking awesome I was. And so now in all of these different practices that I'm doing, I'm learning this. And so that's why you see a different person coming to you. That's why I can stand up for myself now. That's why I can help other people become better, because I know what I'm capable of, and that makes a huge difference. So, hey, Jessica. So that was her story, and the sun. That was her story, and it was so inspiring that a lot of us have joined in, and we're also making sure that we don't have the same year over and over again. So I've also been telling you guys that I found all these old journals in this back closet, and God knows why I've been keeping them. You know, we keep old journals and things that are painful to us. Like, why do we keep things that are painful, right? So I found all these old journals, and I was rereading them, and I just realized this last night or this morning when I realized when I decided to talk about this topic. It was because I had heard Michelle's story 2 times over the weekend again, and I had been reading these old journals, whereas her portion of the story where she said I was living my same year twice, I was like, oh yeah, you know, I can resonate with that, but I didn't live the same year twice. That's what I was thinking, until I found these old journals, and I started to Jessica making me laugh. I started to read them, and I started to realize that I hadn't lived the same year twice. I mean, for goodness sakes, it's 2019, and these journals are from 2014, 2011, 2007, and it's the same freaking story. It's like the names have changed, the places have changed. It's like Mad Libs. If you take out all the nouns, the rest of the story is the same. Like, I have lived 10 years the same, and I know when it happened, but it's what we do, right? We grow up, so you have all these dreams, all these goals, you're pushing, you're striving for something. You have a goal, so you want to finish school, you want to finish whatever it is, training, and then you get into the job that your dream job, and then you just start to settle into this routine, and you stop reading things, and you stop taking different classes, and you stop striving for things, you stop acquiring new skills. It's like, okay, now it's time to buy a house and have some kids and settle down and help them with their homework, like all this stuff. Like, you stop growing as your own person, and it's easy to fall into that trap because society almost tells us that's what we're supposed to do. Like, if you're a good mom, then you're going to go to work, or you're going to stay home, or whatever it is that you do, work at home or work outside of home, and you're going to be focused on your kids, and you're going to take a cooking class at the community college. You're going to learn a new language. You're going to, it's like we don't continue to grow as we get older because we settle into this rut of thinking that that's what life is all about. Like, that is adulting. Hashtag adulting. No, it is not. It totally sucks. Because what happens is, if you're like me, I think it was like 10 years later. So I've been practicing medicine, I don't know, 13, 15 years. I don't even remember now. I don't even know. Like, it's just been on repeat. I've been like a hamster on a wheel. Workaholic. Work. The only thing that snapped me out of this cycle was my kids, because it was, for the first time, I was like, wait a minute, I kind of have a life outside of work, and I kind of like it, and I want to be there for it. I don't want to miss anything. And it made me stop and choose. It made me stop long enough to choose. And unfortunately, when Michelle talks about people who have lived, 10, 20 years of their life, same mediocre life on repeat, I realized last night, she's talking about me. All this time, I was like, oh no, I haven't even lived 1 year on repeat. They've all been different. They've all been with their own challenges. No, darling. When I read those journals, I was like, holy crap, this is the same stuff that I was dealing with in 2018. Luckily, I had a midlife crisis. That is how I feel about it. I feel like a midlife crisis was the best thing to ever happen to me, because it woke me up out of mediocrity. It woke me up to my life. It gave me a spiritual awakening. It gave me some enlightenment, shining a light into my life to say, look at where all the cobwebs are. Look at where all the dust bunnies are. You need to get yourself a broom and sweep this stuff up, because your life, you know what? I was not created, or if you take the Abraham Hicks approach to your life, I am, the greater part of me is spiritual. And when I decided to come into this physical body, in this earthly time and space, I did not come to this time and space in this body to just live my life like a hamster on a wheel. I didn't come to raise incredibly brilliant, world-changing children, right? I came to be incredibly brilliant and world-changing myself, and create children that can carry that to the next level. I'm not going to put all my hopes and dreams on my kids, which is when I was in my midlife crisis, the beginning stages of it. I was so panicky about life and the meaning of it and what I was going to do now, because I had wasted mine, because I thought my life was over. My whole like point of being, like my whole purpose, I was like, well, I guess I got to do the right thing for my kids. I guess I got to teach them how not to be in debt. Got to teach my kids, how to make the most of their lives. And over the process of this year, I've learned, no, ma'am. No, it's, first of all, you're on time for your life. What's happening for you right now is supposed to happen for you right now. Second of all, it's not over for you. there are a lot of things that I'm supposed to do still. I just got to get busy. And third of all, my kids will determine their own destiny. I am not here for the purpose of making sure that my kids do this, that, or the other in the world. I'm here to make sure I do this, that, and the third in the world, and they can do what makes them happy too. Right? So a lot of us as parents, we gotta let that go. Because then we put so much pressure on our kids. We put pressure on our kids because of things that we can't do, or we think we can't do. So now we're making our kids do it. And they're in all kind of activities. They're overstressed because they're trying to live up to our expectations. When really, now that I realize that I have my own expectations of myself, then I can just expect my kids to be happy and to pursue their own dreams, to be relaxed enough to find out what they're good at. I got a cough. Sorry, I put in peppermint, but I'm talking too much. So, living your life on repeat, not cool. What is the difference? I talked last week about what the difference is when I talked about peer pressure. But the biggest difference is that when I look back in those old journals that I have, I didn't have any sort of action step whatsoever except for prayer. I was like, Lord, please help me do this and that and this and that. And at the same time, I was going to church, listening to the minister and hanging out with my friends, and I wasn't connected to God himself. I was connected to all of the church people. I was connected. I was, well connected, and I even gave a few talks in church and things like that. Did a week-long seminar in church for people, and in the evening people would come. And so I've done a lot of speaking in church. I've done a lot of thinking in church, but I didn't do a lot of connecting. I didn't connect with the most important part of church, which was God. I had a personal relationship with God, but I wasn't meditating to the point where my mind was quiet of my own thoughts and I could hear his messages and let my intuition say, hey, I know what you want. I know what you need. Here's the next step. It was always a one-way connection of me saying, this is what I want, this is what I need, this is what I want, this is what I need. But it wasn't enough of, this is how to get it. And so that's the difference. The difference is a company that I'm keeping now, which if you can't find them locally, you got to go online. So I found an online community of amazing women, and some people locally, of course. And they're not necessarily women locally. But you have to have those next steps. So you have to have a plan to go with your desires. And you don't have to know all the steps. Like Abraham Hicks says, you don't have to be driving from Austin, Texas to San Diego and know every left and right turn and every gas station and every red light in between. That's ridiculous. But you should know that I'm in San Antonio or I'm in Austin and I'm going to San Diego. Like knowing that and knowing that for sure and for certain, like I'm in my car and I'm going to San Diego is a huge difference than what I was doing in my journals, where I'd be like, I'm in my car. It's a little bit confusing because I'm on the road. Like there's an exit, it says east, and there's an exit that says west. And I'm like, I don't know. I just want to go somewhere good. Take me anywhere. So if you say take me anywhere, guess where you're going to end up? Anywhere. And guess what's going to happen? A year later, you're going to be writing in your journal the same stinking thinking, the same idea, the same, I'm at point A again. I'm still at point A. And this is what's happening all around me. You're repeating the same patterns over and over again because those patterns are familiar. Those patterns feel safe to you. Okay, so I'm on call and somebody called me. Yeah, so you have to kind of know where you're trying to get to, and then you have to have supportive people who you're not afraid to actually share what you're trying to do. So in our group, hey Jairus, in our group on SOS Club, we're all doing something different. and Michelle is our guru, so she has like tons of amazing ideas that she does in her business, which revolutionize even the thinking of business. Because one thing that she tries to show us is that business can be a feminine expression of, like, it's not the push and striving, but it can be a feminine expression of your personal development and working through how you're growing, and that's an expression of what you're showing other people, and other people will be more attracted to what you have to offer based on, like, the natural way to express it, right? Because to me, every time I used to think about business, it was like this hard thing that you had to like push, and it was just it was difficult, and it wasn't fun at all. But the way she presents it is like, you just try things, just experiment, it's fun. And I remember now that that's why I went into medicine in the very first place. I wanted to help people to understand their health and to understand how they can make it better. And I wanted to experiment with my patients and have fun with it, and just say, let's try this and come back, in 2 months, and let's see if it makes it better. And right as I was getting into medicine, that whole philosophy of medicine was changing. Like, it was going out the window, because, and it's the culture in general was changing, because people weren't having these one-to-one connections with their doctor where they were saying, I trust you, doctor, let's try this, and let's do, it was more like, this is the evidence, and the evidence says you do it this way. So for every patient, here's a check box, there's, checklists of all these boxes, and everybody gets to check the box. It doesn't matter who you are, if you're an individual, it doesn't matter. Everybody gets the same treatment. You try this medicine, you come back in 3 months. It doesn't work, you add this medicine, you come back in 3. So it wasn't this, kind of culture of like experimentation and practicing medicine. That was all gone. And when that came, with that evidence-based medicine came onto the scene, what also left was this idea of people saying, hey doc, I trust you. You knew your doctor, you knew all their family, you knew the patient. I remember in clinic when I was in training, we'd talk about, this lady had cats, and she'd show me pictures of her cats. And you're talking about their life, and you're getting to know them. And in that way, it's easier to prescribe a treatment that they'll actually do. There's so many things in medicine that you could heal yourself that you don't need medicine for. My grandpa, who passed away, he used to call them chemicals. My doctor gave me these chemicals. And it's so true. There's so many things you can do for yourself that you don't need additional chemicals to treat you. So, but if you don't know the person's lifestyle, if you don't know, like, we would do house calls, and like some people would be hoarders, and they'd have all this like rotting garbage in their house. If you don't know that someone has rotting garbage in their house, they just keep coming to you to the clinic with, abscesses and boils on their legs and around their ankles. And you just keep treating them with chemicals, with side effects. And it's like, until you get to know your patient, you can't really prescribe a treatment that's going to work or that they're going to stick to, besides just tell them to take a pill every day, which may or may not work. So that went out the window. And so what happened was, you stopped getting people who had personal relationships with their doctors, and they started to be more like, they're going to sue you if it doesn't work, and they're going to go to another doctor, get a second opinion. And it was around that same time, to me it very much is like in synchronicity with, like, and I'm not blaming Amazon obviously, but like Amazon, 2-day shipping or 1-day shipping, free shipping, and all this stuff is the same as like Etsy now. How now we have to do like free shipping, and people want their stuff, they want to know when things are going to arrive, whereas before it was like Etsy's like handmade, handcrafted, vintage stuff, everybody's real laid back. And now it's like, no, we got to compete with Amazon, we got to have 2-day shipping, we got to have it on time, we got to send it free and all this stuff. And so people are like, it's changing the culture of Etsy. So those two things may not be related to you in your mind, but in my mind those are related, because it's all the culture. Like, people are not giving each other grace. with these things. It's just like everything has to be this way. And so that's why Michelle's approach really appeals to a lot of us, because it's really relaxed. It's give yourself some grace. Try something in your business. See if it works. Have fun with it. Like, that's the only way to make something change. So I was listening last week to Think and Grow Rich, and Napoleon Hill. It was the YouTube Think and Grow Rich where they interjected like Napoleon Hill giving speeches in between of the reading of the book. And he was talking about how Thomas Edison had 10,000 failures, at least 10,000 failures before he came up with the incandescent light bulb that worked. Can you imagine? So I was talking to my husband the other day, and he was like, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know where your business is. First you were making hand cream, and then you were making dolls, and now you're making planners. And I was like, and he was like, you're just doing all this stuff. It's not really working. You're not making a whole lot of money. And I was like, you know what? That's only 3 things, right? I only tried 3 things. Thomas Edison tried 10,000 things. And his attitude about it was, this was his attitude about it, according to this book. He said, I knew eventually I was going to be successful because I was running out of failures. I knew I was going to find that thing that worked because I was running out of things that did not work. Can you imagine the mindset around that, to say, you know what, I've tried so many things, they didn't work. And then like to be proud of that, to be like, I've tried everything that didn't work, so the next one might work because I ran out of stuff that didn't work. So one thing that helped me, and it was similar to this, when I started in April of 2018 is when I opened my Etsy shop. I had, I always keep notes to myself in the refrigerator. But I had a note to myself, and it was a quote that I heard who knows where. But the quote was, 9 out of 10 businesses fail. I think it said problem. 9 out of 10 businesses fail. Solution, start 10 businesses. Seriously, like that is what I had on my fridge, and that I saw it so many times that it became part of my philosophy, was that I am not going to fail at this, because I had a burning desire that I wanted to start something else on the side. And I was like, I can't fail because I'm not going to stop trying. I can't fail because if I see anybody else who's succeeding, I know that it's possible. And if it's possible for me. If it's possible for anybody, it's possible for me, because I'm going to keep trying and trying until I get it right. And so that's what happened. And then shortly after that is when I heard about Michelle and got my Ultimate Life Binder and joined the Secret Out Society, and just realized that, guess what? It's possible and it's happening. And so living your life on repeat. So if you have lived 10 years, 20 years, doing the same thing, you're the hamster on the wheel just keeps going around. Sometimes we don't even recognize it. We're just kind of like, another birthday. Here we are. This is life. This is the way it's supposed to be. And if you haven't gotten your wake up, shake up that says, guess what? One day you're going to die. Do you want to be on your deathbed saying, I wish I had done this? Or do you want to be on your deathbed saying, I tried 10,000 things and then I discovered the light bulb? It's like, that's the difference. And it's not a hard thing to do. It's not rocket science, right? It's not rocket science. All you do is start. It doesn't even matter where you start. You just have to start. You have to pick up a book. If you can't pick up a book, like when I started reading, I bought a book, and my kids were tiny and they ripped the pages out of it, and I was pretty upset. But I went and got the same book on audio form, and it was like $50. And that's when I realized that audiobooks are super freaking expensive. I was really upset by that, because I thought I had found something that was going to work. I was like, I could just listen to, it was actually discs, like CDs. I was like, I can listen to CDs in my car and the kids can't rip the pages out. But that price was limiting to me. So then I discovered Audible, and there, you get a credit for like $15 a month, less than $15 a month. And so that became my solution. So even if you just start there, just start with listening to a book. The book that you get, even if it's a book that's way over your head or something and you're not at that level yet, you're going to get something from that book. If you start out with You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero, it's hilarious. And it is it's full of so many practical things that you can start implementing into your life right away. And so what happens is all you have to do is take the first step. After that, your intuition will start to tell you what the next step is and the next step. And all you have to do is be open to what the next step might be. So someone may come into your life, or someone may mention something to you, like what they're reading or listening to. Like you may say, hey, I'm listening to this book and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, really? Last book I listened to was da, 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 and it was really good. Or even a lot of people are not reading. So they may say, hey, in high school we listened to da, 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 and I remember it was really good. Well, if you're open to receiving that, then you'll hear that and your brain will go ding, ding, ding. That's your next book. And you listen to that, and that'll change something else in your habits. And it just goes from there. And little by little, you will start to change who you are. And then by the next birthday, by the next year that comes around, you're not standing in the same place thinking about the same thing. You've moved past it. And so that is the amazing thing about actually taking control of moving your life forward instead of just going in with your routine. So, Diane says, telling Jessica you're just getting up. It's funny. Yeah, I know. So Jessica is in Adelaide, South Australia, and it's like the exact opposite from us. And it's hard for me to even keep that in my mind, because I'm like, what time is it there? What's happening? So you're going to bed and we're getting up. And then when you're getting up, because you told me on Sunday at 3 in the afternoon is like 6 a.m. for you. 6 a.m. Monday morning. That's mind-blowing. I'm just like, okay, time travel. All right. So Diane says, 30 or 40 years at least, I'm ready to discover the light bulb. Oh my gosh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. It's amazing. Because you fall into the rut. And I told you have to watch the replay, because I was talking all about how you're like living in a diamond mine and you're sitting on a gold mine. I use all those mixed metaphors. But you have so much going on with you. When you're telling me things and I see it, I'm just like, oh my gosh. I want to mastermind with you so much, because I can see that you have tons and tons of ideas. You're an idea machine. And you have potential, and you actually have a business that's, profitable, that's amazing. And the only missing piece is the mindset part, or the little push, or the talking it out, or whatever it is. And you're awesome on camera. You're very personable. It's just so many things. I'm like, I feel so lucky to know you. I feel like super blessed. With all of you guys, I'm just like, I don't know what I've done to deserve this, but I know it's just taking one step and another step. But I feel like the place that I'm in now, with the support system I have now, I'm just like, I feel so lucky to know you guys. I feel lucky to know you, Diane, and just so blessed. And I know that if we're in a group together talking things through, then both of us will have exponential growth, because we already vibe just on texting every day. And it's just it's amazing. Anyway, so you guys may hear in future episodes what happens when Diane's brilliant mind and my brilliant mind come together, and that's what I feel is gonna. Okay, don't cry. I already made somebody cry yesterday. I put up a video of my kids reading their bedtime routine chart that we did not use last night, by the way. And the person who made it, the person who created, her name is Erica Barriga, and she created this, she's a watercolor artist, and she created this bedtime chart. I printed it out twice, because I have 2 kids, and I laminated it. And I did this in February, so they were too small to use it then. But now I was like, they could probably use this. And I put it on the wall, and they immediately, my son anyway, he came over. He was like, what is this, Mama? And I said, this is your bedtime tracker, and every day you have to do these things, and I'll put a check mark, and then at the end of the week you'll get a prize. And he starts reading. He was like, put on your pajama, or he says pajamas, put on your pajamas and brush your teeth and read a book. And I was like, what? So I grabbed my camera. I said, Jude, tell me again what you're supposed to do. So when I sent it I posted in our passive income with printables course, because that's where I got it through Erica, who's in our passive income with printables course. And she texted me and she's like, oh my gosh, I'm crying. I'm not even a crier. I can't even believe this is a dream come true. Because when you create something, from experience, we know this, right? Like, we create things that we have in our mind, how it should be used. And then when you see somebody using it that way, like, you didn't even tell the person, like, do this. You know, she didn't come and tell my kid, this is for your pajamas, this is for your thing. But to see on video, like, an actual person using the thing that you created in the way that it's supposed to be used, and I mean, it's amazing. It's like the best feeling in the world. And I had that feeling when the first version of the budget diary, I mailed it to this girl in New Jersey. I think she's in New Jersey, New York, somewhere. Really cool person. She does budget with me, like on YouTube and that kind of stuff. And so I found her on Instagram, and I was like, hey, if I send this to you, if you like it, will you use it? Well, one day she goes live on Instagram and she's using it. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's using it. And she's talking it through, and she's telling her followers how to use it. And she's explaining it exactly the way I had created it to be used. And it's like an exhilarating feeling. You're like, you get it. Because you just think that your ideas are so invalid. You know what I mean? Like, you start off thinking like, nobody's gonna get this, nobody's gonna buy it, nobody understands it, I came up with this in my head, how can it be any good? And then you see somebody else, a total stranger, who's using it, and it's really literally a dream come true. Like, this is the most literal definition of a dream come true. It's something you completely dreamt up, you sketched it out, you made it, you sent it, and now it's actually a real thing in the world that's worth real money, and it's worth a real kid's bedtime routine. And for my product, it's worth a real person getting out of debt. Diane texted me one day, or she posted in our budgeting mastermind group, that she had paid off a credit card, like completely paid that sucker off, hopefully chopped it up, but paid off the complete credit card. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, this thing that I created to help me pay off my credit cards is in the hands of someone I've never even hugged before, but I will hug her, and she's used it and it's paid off a credit card. And then you just go like, oh my gosh, like, this is a real thing in the world. It was a dream, and now it's a real thing in the world. And you have to have small victories to lead up to big victories like that, because otherwise you're the hamster on the wheel. Like, you're not doing anything different, you're not changing anything. But once you start making tiny changes, it snowballs into huge changes. And next thing you know, like, I changed my life, and now I'm helping someone else change their life, and they're going to help me change my life. And it's just this huge, like, you're putting all this positive energy out into the world, and good things are happening, and it's just amazing. There is nothing about this feeling that is cheap or worldly. I don't even know how to say it. Money cannot buy this feeling. Money cannot buy the connection that you have with someone, and money can't buy the feeling of changing your life, or having God, having the universe, having help changing your life. It's just something you have to start, and you do. So, all that being said, living your same life on repeat is crazy. It's so unnecessary. Even if you change one tiny thing, it'll have a ripple effect. In the book that I was telling you guys about last week, the lady who, all she did was change her alcohol habits. Like, she stopped drinking in excess after work. Like, work was stressful. Her fiance, he was stressed. They would come home and they would drink. All she did was have a conversation with him about the drinking, and they stopped the drinking. Instead, they'd have a cup of chamomile tea in the evening. That's all they changed. And when they had a cup of tea in the evening and replaced that for their little evening cocktail or whatever it was, everything else changed. She could sleep better at night. She woke up refreshed in the morning. She was a good mom to her kids early in the morning instead of being a zombie until noon. All these things changed. They had a great relationship. They weren't fighting. I mean, it's amazing. Like, one small change will have this ripple effect to other parts of your life. So if you take nothing else away from today's chat, take away the idea that one small change. All you have to do is start with one thing and start today. Don't write it down somewhere and say, like, oh, okay, on Monday, because today's Tuesday, and you always start things on Monday. On Monday, I'm going to start doing it. No. Start today. Whatever it is, do it today. And see what change it creates. I'm not even prepared for anything today. See what change it creates in your life. And it will. And if you have the opportunity to get in a mastermind group with at least one other person, try that. It has to be the right group, though. You can't join up with, your same people who are doing the same things, who are not interested in changing, and just deciding that, okay, since it's my cousin, we're going to do this together. Meanwhile, your cousin could not care less about changing their life. Like, they're happy with the way things are. And I did this. I've tried to do all this stuff with family, and that's not what family is for. Lisa Nichols talks about this in her book, Abundance Now. And she really goes deep into this, and it is so helpful, because she's like, your family is your family. Like, your family is not, they're not your business partners. They're not your mastermind group. They're not that kind of thing. Like, let them just be your family. Let them, just play the role that they're supposed to play, and don't put so much pressure on your family to help you change the world or whatever, because that's not what they're there for. And so if you do that, you'll have a lot of misery. But if you just leave them alone and let them be your family, you'll be fine. So I'm at work now. It's 8:19. Even though I got up earlier and I left I left home earlier, and I dropped my kids off earlier, and I did everything else earlier, I'm still getting to work at the exact same time that I've been getting to work for like 2 or 3 months. It's driving me crazy, y'all. And I know it's probably a mindset thing, because I think what's happening is that when I'm, the peppermint, when I'm early, or when I'm going to be on time for work, I think I drive slower. I really do. I think that's what it is. Like, I'm balancing my own equation, which is, it's like I can't even imagine getting to work early, so I sabotage myself. I know that's what I do, because I noticed today I was driving 72, and normally I'm driving like 80, and I was driving 72. I was like actually going slow and in the slow lane, and I'm like, are you trying to be late for work? Anyway, so more tomorrow. Who knows what I'll talk about tomorrow? I'll have to see what happens today. Depending on what happens today, I'll talk about something else tomorrow. Or if you guys have a question, you could always send me a question. But usually I just base this on what my personal development is. If you are curious about Michelle Rohr, I'll link the latest episode of the Michelle and Amy show in somewhere on this page, because I started watching it yesterday, and I've watched it twice, but I haven't gotten to the end either time, because it's a long one. It's a nice juicy long one, and I've been interrupted and stuff like that. But I love this show. It helps me so much with my mindset, and I just love them, and I just love it. I hope they don't talk about me anywhere in the show, because I'm afraid, I've been afraid I'm going to get to the end and they're going to say something about me, because in the past when they've said things about me, I've ended up devastating. So I'm like, oh my God, it's like, because they talk so deep into in getting into your mindset, and they read me like a book. They're like, you have trouble giving things away, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, now I have to give everything away, because I need to prove to myself that I can do it. So yes, they make you a better person, but change is painful sometimes. Growth is painful. Did you watch it, Diane? Have you seen it? It's over an hour long. It's like an hour and a half long. It's a good long show. But yeah, change is painful. And sometimes when, I think what it is somebody else can see that in you. It's kind of like if you have a really good coach and they're like, this is what you need to do. And you're just like, I'm never coming back here again because I do not want to do that. And you're going to make me do it. And you're going to make me become a better person despite myself. No, you know. So that's how I feel when I watch the show. I'm like, don't say my name. Don't say my name. Don't say my name. Because they'll be like, Fran asked a question about, I was like, oh my God. I know it's coming. Yeah, I didn't know it was out either. But Mia posted something yesterday. She posted something in her thing. She was saying something like, the latest Michelle and Amy show was saying blah blah blah, and I was just like, what do you mean the latest? The one from 3 weeks ago, or is there a new one? So I went hunting for it. I'll post it here, a link to it here from YouTube, that way you can just click on it. But yeah, it's good so far. It's long and they talk about a lot of different things, but they go back over the tamale story from when Michelle and Miguel were like, I just realized their names are Michelle and Miguel. That's so weird. When they would take those foldable chairs to the farmer's market and like camp out near the tamale stand. When Michelle was pregnant though, so I mean it made sense to like have a chair and all that stuff. But Amy kind of had forgotten that story about the tamales. I didn't, because to me, like this whole year has been the tamale story. I had been like, okay, I got to make the budget diary better because the most important thing are the tamales. Like you have to have good tamales. The other stuff doesn't matter. And that's why I ended up like taking the Instagram app off my phone, because the Instagram app was sucking up so much time. And I was like, I need to spend this time making my tamales better and not trying to advertise. Don't build a nice tent or put up a good sign or have like the best display. Just make the freaking good tamales and people are gonna, come over there and buy them, and they'll be looking for you because you have the best tamales. So anyway, the tamale story has made an impact on my life. So that is all for today. I'm gonna go in here. Y'all pray for me. I gotta go to this meeting. It's always it is, yeah. Anyway, somebody actually complained about me at work. They complained I was too happy and I wasn't taking it seriously. Because sometimes there's like manufactured problems of like, oh, this is really bad and that's really bad. And I'm just like, that's not a big deal. Like, hey, everything's fine. And they were like, she's not taking it serious. Our job is really stressful and she's not taking it seriously. And I'm like, I'm just trying to enjoy my life. Like if something is serious, best believe I take care of it. But if it's not that serious, it's not that serious. So, yes.